Chapter 1. In the third month of her exile abroad, Luna returned to the country, covered in injuries. Outside the airport, Assistant Lee was standing beside the car, holding the door open. "Miss, this isn't your car." Seeing Luna about to get in, he quickly stepped forward to stop her. "It's me. I'm Luna." At her words, Assistant Lee gave her a glance, his face filled with shock. "Apologies. I didn't recognize you. Miss Lin, let's go. Mr. Sun has been waiting for you for a long time." Luna got into the car, unfazed by the astonishment in Assistant Lee's eyes. In her palm, she held a ring tightly, her engagement ring with Justin. Now, it was time to return this ring to its rightful owner. Just as Luna reached the private room door and placed her hand on the handle, she heard voices from inside before she could press down. "Luna's been exiled abroad for 3 months now. Isn't she returning today?" "Seems like it, thanks to Lara's idea to send her abroad. Her spoiled temper probably got a good beating." Lara gave a soft smile. Luna was a pampered heiress, used to a life of luxury. "I suggested sending her abroad. I just hope she won't hate me for it later." At those words, Luna's heart gave a jolt, and the ring in her palm pressed a deep red mark into her skin. Then the voices inside continued. "She's no heiress anymore. Her family's gone bankrupt, and her parents jumped to their deaths over debts. If she still acts spoiled like before, who would indulge her now?" "Yeah, exactly. I just feel bad for Justin. Now that Luna's back, she'll probably cling to him again." All the while, Justin, who was mentioned, remained silent. It wasn't until this moment that he finally spoke. "Luna is like a piece of gum stuck to your shoe, you just can't shake her off." "I'm used to it." Outside the door, Luna felt her heart sink endlessly. "Fine, time to end this." She pushed open the door and walked straight up to Justin. "Justin, let's call off the engagement." In her outstretched palm sat the engagement ring. That hand was no longer the fair, delicate one it used to be. Frequent labor had covered her fingers with calluses and small wounds. The dry, cracked skin added to the harsh appearance. Luna curled her lips into a difficult smile. "I was wrong before, clinging to you just because I had the title of your fiancé, even knowing full well you loved Lara." As she spoke, she struggled to suppress the choking in her voice. "But now I've thought it through. I won't show up in front of you anymore. I won't pester you again." The moment she finished speaking, laughter in the room came to an abrupt stop. Everyone glanced at each other, eyes filled with disbelief. Luna, voluntarily breaking off the engagement? Was the sun rising from the west? But what shocked them even more was how Luna looked now. It had only been a few months abroad, but she had become emaciated, nearly a skeleton. Her face was pale and lifeless, and she looked as if a breeze could topple her. Her expression bore an indescribable weariness. Nowhere to be found was the once proud and radiant socialite of the Beijing elite. If she hadn't spoken, they might not have even recognized her. Her hands, rough from labor, showed slightly swollen joints. The engagement ring definitely no longer fit. Luna looked at the ring, and the lingering attachment in her eyes slowly faded. This ring had been with her through those harsh days abroad. At first, she did everything she could to hide it so no one would take it. Only when she looked at it could she grit her teeth and survive. Later, when despair consumed her, the ring no longer mattered. Hiding it had simply become a habit. When she got engaged, Luna had wanted to wear that ring every single day. And now, she was the one asking for the engagement to end. Not only did Justin not believe it, no one in the room did. "Luna, you should think it over. Don't say you want to break it off today and come crying to take it back tomorrow. Did something happen to you? Is this just another pretentious coquette move, trying to attract attention by pulling away?" Justin's face turned cold. "Luna, stop playing these games of pushing and pulling, if you're not tired of it." "I sure am." Luna gave a bitter smile. "Back then, I did use many tricks to get your attention. You must have been sick of it. I'm sorry. But now, I really have decided to let go. I wish you and Lara happiness." Looking at the ring in Luna's rough palm, Justin's expression was unreadable, but he reached out and took it. "You'd better mean it. Don't come begging me for it back in 3 days. Chapter 2. As soon as the words fell, the private room erupted into laughter. Luna lowered her eyes slightly. She knew they didn't believe her, because she had truly loved Justin for many years. They had grown up together as childhood sweethearts, perfectly matched in family background. Luna had liked this handsome boy next door since she was little, and had always chased after him. Their families had even arranged an engagement for them, but Justin had never liked her. When he met Lara, his dislike for Luna reached its peak, but the Sun family refused to allow someone like Lara, a Cinderella, to marry into their household. Over the years, Justin couldn't break off the engagement, nor could he be with Lara. They remained in a deadlock. When the Lin family went bankrupt, Justin originally intended to end the engagement immediately, but before Mr. Sun passed away, he had stated clearly, unless Luna initiated the breakup, Justin wasn't allowed to. So when Lara suggested exiling Luna abroad alone for a while, thinking it would break her spirit and lead to a voluntary breakup, Justin agreed. And now, Luna had truly taken the initiative to break off the engagement. The one who couldn't believe it turned out to be Justin. "Don't worry, I'll keep my word." Luna said no more and turned to leave. The door to the private room closed again, and it wasn't long before the atmosphere turned lively once more. "Hey, how long do you think before Luna regrets this? Want to bet? I bet she'll regret it in 2 days and come back crying, begging Justin to take her back. I say 1 day. I say half a day. I say 3 hours. Why bet? If you ask me, I hope she's serious. That way, Justin can finally be with Lara, no more obstacles in their way." Hearing everyone congratulate him on finally shaking off Luna, the clingy simp, Justin should have been happy. But for some reason, he felt a faint discomfort inside. The next day, SS Group immediately released a breakup statement. "Our company's CEO, Justin, and Luna have amicably parted ways. By mutual agreement, their engagement is officially dissolved as of today." Beneath the statement, the comments were full of celebration. Mr. Sun never liked Luna anyway. "Finally, the engagement is over. Congratulations." Wah. Is it finally real between Lara and Mr. Sun? The CEO and Cinderella romance is coming true. Mr. Sun only ever had Lara in his heart. He even broke off his engagement for her. That's true love. That Luna girl clung to Mr. Sun for years. It was obvious he didn't like her, but she still shamelessly stuck around. What else is she if not the villainess in every story? If I were Luna, I'd rather die than be dumped like this. But I guess she deserved it. Luna stared at the hateful comments on her phone in silence. She was the one who met Justin first. The one who got engaged to him first. She hadn't done anything wrong, just fell in love with the wrong person. She was quiet for a long time, then finally told herself, none of that matters anymore. After the Lin family went bankrupt, Luna had been living in the Sun family home. Now that the engagement was over, she needed to pack her things and leave. She had nothing to do with the Sun family anymore. Luna packed her few belongings, and just as she reached the doorway, she saw Justin standing tall by the threshold. His tone was cold. "How long do you plan on playing this game of bait and retreat? Now that you're moving out of my house, don't come crying in the middle of the night, begging me to take you back." Luna shook her head. "I'm not playing games, and I won't be asking for your help again." She knew all too well that asking Justin for help was pointless. When she couldn't endure her life abroad, she once fantasized that he would come save her. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. She waited, day after day, until every last bit of hope was crushed by pain. Hearing her say that, Justin's brows furrowed tightly. "If our Sun family hadn't taken pity on you, where would you even live now? All your family's assets have been used to pay off debts." A flush of shame crept onto Luna's face. She raised her scarred hands. "Don't worry, I still have these hands. No matter where I end up, I'll survive." Then she dragged her suitcase and walked past Justin. As her figure disappeared down the hallway, Justin's gaze darkened. Moments later, he dialed Lara's number and put it on speaker. "Lara, move in with me. Luna's gone. I won't give her a chance to regret this." Excited agreement came through the phone from Lara. Luna, hearing it all, didn't react, didn't even pause her steps. She just kept walking. From that day on, Luna never appeared before Justin again, and Justin, uncharacteristically, began openly flaunting his relationship with Lara. Chapter 3. Before the Lin family went bankrupt, Luna studied fashion design and had a solid understanding of haute couture and luxury goods. So, not long after moving out, She quickly found work as a sales assistant at a luxury boutique. Lara, see anything you like? A familiar voice drifted into her ears, causing Luna to pause in her introduction of a handbag. She hadn't expected to run into Justin here. She didn't want to interact with them. Luna subtly shrank back, but Justin had already noticed her. Or rather, Justin and Lara had seen her from afar. They had come to this store on purpose. Luna, seeing someone you know, aren't you going to come help us? Justin specifically requested Luna to serve them. The manager, seeing this, quickly nudged her. That's Mr. Sun. Who knows how much he's already spent on Miss Chan along the way. Expensive items just flying off the shelves like water. I don't know how you know someone like that. But hurry up and serve him. Don't offend Mr. Sunday. Luna lowered her eyes, walked over in small steps, and after composing herself, pulled a professional smile onto her face. Dear customers, is there anything you like? This color suits the lady very well, makes your skin look especially fair. Lara let her finger skip past the shoes Luna pointed to and instead chose another black pair. Are you saying I'm dark? That I need color to look fair? But I think these suit me better. She looked innocent. Justin's gaze darkened. Help her try them on. Of course, Miss Chan. Please have a seat here. Luna knelt halfway down, focused on helping Lara change shoes. Because of the movement, her not-so-long skirt rode up slightly, revealing a patch of fair skin. Justin's eyes lingered on it, his expression growing uglier. Is this how your staff normally serve customers? Luna looked confused. In the next second, she heard Justin say coldly, Luna, you can't even do basic service properly. Are you really fit to work here? The moment Justin spoke, the manager immediately nodded in agreement. Yes, Mr. Sun, you're absolutely right. She just started. I'll fire her immediately. Don't worry. We won't let it ruin your shopping experience. The manager then pulled Luna aside, handed her a few red bills, and said impatiently, take the money and leave. What bad luck. You're hurting our performance. Luna took the money in silence. She had believed she'd done her job well these past few days. Yet, with just one word from someone above, she instantly lost it all. She gave a bitter smile and turned to leave, but as she reached the stairs, Lara suddenly blocked her path. Luna, didn't you say you wouldn't show up in front of Justin again? Was today on purpose? Don't think she hadn't noticed ever since Justin saw Luna. His attention had been completely on her. Are you jealous of how good Justin's been to me lately? Planning to pull your old tricks, throw a tantrum, cry, beg for sympathy? Lara leaned in close and whispered by Luna's ear. Still not had enough of your time abroad? Miss those experiences? Want to relive them? Lara's voice was like a venomous snake hissing beside her. Luna's pupils trembled, then she slapped Lara hard. So it really was you behind what happened abroad. What kind of deep hatred do you have for me to do that? Everything she endured overseas had been like a nightmare. She often woke up in the middle of the night, trembling in fear. Lara's expression turned cold. She raised her hand to slap back, but suddenly noticed something, and her whole demeanor shifted. With teary eyes, she quickly covered her face. The next second, Justin appeared out of nowhere and shoved Luna aside, shouting angrily, You really haven't changed. If it weren't for Lara's relatives helping you abroad, how would you have returned so smoothly? Not only are you ungrateful, but now you're laying hands on her? Do you believe I won't make sure you can't stay in all of K-City? Luna's eyes were red as she looked at the once familiar, now foreign man before her, her heart growing colder by the second. She gave a faint, bitter smile, one more painful than crying. It's fine, Justin. I'll find a way to survive. If not in K-City, then somewhere else. Finally, she shot Lara a cold look. Between us, I think you're the more pitiful one. Justin, do you know Lara's true nature? Do you know that her so-called relatives abroad are ruthless smugglers? Do you know what I went through these past months? Do you know how I escaped from them? Luna's smile was grim, her voice shaking with emotion. I'll be waiting for the day you see Lara's real face. Her words struck deep, each one sharp and painful, leaving Justin visibly uneasy. Lara silently wept, full of grievance, and shook her head. Justin, I don't know what Miss Lin is talking about. I know she doesn't like me. But I never thought she'd slander me like this. After a moment of silence, Justin made up his mind. That's enough. Luna, stop falsely accusing Lara. I know exactly what kind of person she is. With that, Justin turned and left with Lara without a backward glance. Luna stood frozen in place, rooted to the spot. Her face was pale, and her body completely drained of strength. Everything that had happened overseas played out in her mind like a horror film, looping endlessly. Overwhelmed by emotion, her vision spun, and she collapsed. Fortunately, a kind passerby rushed her to the hospital. When Luna woke up again, the sharp scent of disinfectant filled her nose. Miss Lin, you're pregnant. Your body's too weak right now. You must take better care of yourself. The nurse's words hit her like a bolt of lightning. Pregnant? She was actually having a baby? Chapter 4. It took Luna a full 10 minutes to truly accept the reality. She sat in a daze, her hand gently resting on her still flat stomach. There was a tiny life growing inside her? Just one accidental night, and it had left behind a child? Rather than feeling any joy at the child's arrival, her heart was gripped by overwhelming fear. She had promised never to see him again, and now, she was pregnant. This already broke the promise she had made. In her mind, the tall, mysterious figure from abroad surfaced again, filling her with unease. Back then, when she was abroad, when countless people beat her, tore at her clothes, and tried to throw her into a red light district, she had nearly reached her limit. It was then that she saw that dangerous and enigmatic figure. With what little strength she had left, she reached out to him and cried hoarsely, "Help me!" A man saving a young, beautiful woman, what other motive could there be? Luna knew exactly what it meant, but she had no choice. Mr. Fu had saved her life, and she had spent one night with him. To Luna, that alone was worth it. What she hadn't expected was that the next morning, the man would still be sitting at her bedside, waiting for her to wake. The ruthless intensity from the night before had vanished, replaced by a surprising gentleness. She heard him say, "Why not stay by my side?" His voice, deep and elegant like a cello, was slow and soft, each word impossibly alluring. But Luna shook her head. She didn't know who he truly was, not even his full name. She only knew he was called Fu. Yet she was certain, someone like him, even before the Lin family fell, was someone she could never afford to get involved with, let alone now. More importantly, she no longer wanted to rely on any man. She didn't want to be a leech, hated and despised. She never wanted to live another day dependent on someone's moods, constantly anxious about being unwanted. "I'm sorry, Mr. Fu, I want to leave." "All right." After that, she drifted through foreign streets for another 2 months, and in those 2 short months, it felt like she had lived an entirely new life. In the midst of her hardship, she learned how to survive, how to stretch every penny. She had thought of giving up more than once, but in the end, she gritted her teeth and endured. She believed she could finally start over, until fate threw her another twist. She was pregnant with that man's child. After the nurse finished changing her dressings, Luna fell into a muddled sleep. Maybe it was because she had been thinking of Mr. Fu again, that he even appeared in her dreams. In the dream, Zack sat in a place of power, surrounded by cold-faced bodyguards. He wore a black suit, the inky shade making his refined features even more striking. Zack's expression was hidden in the shadows. Unreadable. "Luna, where did you get the nerve to carry my child?" His cold, harsh voice sent chills down her spine. She watched him calmly rotate a string of prayer beads in his hand as he spoke the most merciless words. "Oliver, take her away. Get rid of the child with her." No matter how Luna struggled or screamed, she couldn't escape Zack's men. "No!" In that instant, Luna jolted awake from the nightmare. Chapter 5. It turned out that Luna's hand, which had been resting on her lower abdomen, had dislodged the 4-needle, and the cold medicine dripped down her arm, soaking her belly. Startled into a cold sweat, Luna instinctively dialed the number etched into her memory. The phone rang just a few times before it was picked up. Zack's voice came through, gentle. Nothing like the man in her dream. It was so calm and soothing it could dispel any panic. "It's been a long time. This is the first time you've contacted me. What happened?" Luna could even feel the trace of delight in Mr. Fu's tone. But the panic in her heart wouldn't settle. Her entire body was drenched in cold sweat. She opened her mouth but found that her throat was so dry. She couldn't make a sound. A long while later, she finally croaked out hoarsely, "Nothing. Wrong number. Sorry." Then she quickly hung up. Staring at the number on the screen, Luna's heart was still thundering. Just the thought of the cold, ruthless Mr. Fu from her dream sent waves of unease through her. She pulled out the needle from her hand and got out of bed to find the doctor. "Doctor, I want to terminate the pregnancy." Even as she said it, she couldn't stop trembling. The nightmare had been too terrifying. She couldn't bear the thought of it becoming reality. The doctor frowned, then said gently, "Miss, your body is very weak right now. If you choose to terminate the pregnancy, the damage might be irreversible. You might never be able to have children again. You're still young. Life is long. Don't make this decision lightly. Think it through." Luna hesitated. She feared Mr. Fu, yet she couldn't bring herself to part with the child growing inside her. Her family was gone, the Lin family bankrupt, her parents driven to suicide by despair. Now, this baby was the only living being in the world who shared her blood. She struggled for a long time but couldn't bring herself to lie on the operating table. Then a reckless hope sparked in her heart. If she was just careful enough, stayed far enough from Mr. Fu, maybe she wouldn't be discovered. Maybe she could keep this child. She decided to try again. After being discharged from the hospital, Luna returned to her rundown rental apartment and began looking for a new job. But this time, things didn't go smoothly. No matter how many resumes she sent or how well she performed in interviews, she heard nothing back. Her efforts vanished without a trace. Meanwhile, in a car parked not far away, Justin sat watching Luna leave. Looking dejected, Assistant Lee was reporting beside him, "Mr. Sun, everything is arranged. No matter where Miss Lin applies, no one in K-City dares to hire her." Assistant Lee glanced out the window at Luna, who walked away with her head down. A flicker of sympathy crossed his face. Justin, unusually, seemed a bit dazed. "How long has it been since Luna and I broke off the engagement?" "Mr. Sun, it's been 1 month." Hearing that, Justin's expression darkened slightly, and he muttered, 1 month, and she still hasn't come back to beg? Was she really planning to give up? Luna had chased him for so many years. How could she give up completely in just 1 month? He was supposed to be glad to finally shake off that clingy simp, but oddly enough, he didn't feel happy at all. Just as both were lost in thought, suddenly, a car sped straight toward Justin's vehicle. The driver swerved desperately, steering toward a guardrail to avoid a head-on collision. Glass shattered. The car body was dented from the impact. Justin and his team were rushed to the hospital, but luckily, their injuries weren't serious. When he woke up, he found the hospital room filled with people. All his close friends were lined up along the wall, and standing closest were Justin's parents. "Justin, you're awake." Mrs. Sun stopped wiping his face, her own filled with relief and joy. Chapter 6. Justin glanced around the hospital room, momentarily dazed. So many people were there, but Luna wasn't one of them. Realizing this, a flicker of disappointment crossed his heart. Whenever he got injured, Luna used to show up faster than anyone else. He couldn't help himself. He posted a photo of his injuries to his social media feed. Luna always paid close attention to his updates. There was no way she wouldn't see it. But time passed. The visitors came and went. Still, Luna didn't appear. Just then, the door to the hospital room swung open. Justin looked up with anticipation, only for his heart to sink when he saw Lara walk in. "Justin, how's your injury?" Lara's smile faltered slightly, but she ignored his indifference and continued. "I just ran into your parents outside. She paused, hesitating. "Justin, you and Luna have already broken off the engagement. Grandpa's been gone for a while, and there's no one left to stop us anymore. Shouldn't we start planning our engagement?" Justin had been hesitant, but then Luna's image flashed through his mind. His face turned cold as he nodded. He immediately had the announcement drafted. He and Lara were getting engaged. Congratulatory messages flooded in. Justin held his phone for a long time, waiting for a reaction from that person, but not a single word came. The next day, Justin showed up in front of Luna holding the invitation. The red, gold-embossed card looked festive, but as he handed it to her, it felt unbearably heavy. Lara and I are getting engaged. I'm inviting you." Luna stared at the red invitation but said nothing. Justin's lips curled into a faint smile. He thought she was finally cracking. Just as he opened his mouth, Luna spoke calmly. "I won't attend your wedding. I wish you both a lifetime of happiness." Her unexpected response nearly made Justin explode with anger. "You have to come. You studied fashion design, didn't you?" Lara, kind-hearted as she is, wants you to design her engagement dress so you can personally witness our happiness. Once upon a time, that kind of comment would have driven Luna mad. She would have torn the invitation to shreds, done everything to stop the engagement. But now, Luna simply nodded. "All right, I'll come." She had a child to raise. She hadn't found a new job yet. If she could earn some money from Justin, she had no reason to refuse. Besides, she had already given up on the man in front of her, not getting the reaction he wanted. Justin left in a fury, frustration surging inside him with nowhere to go. "Mr. Sun, why did you even come here?" Assistant Lee couldn't help asking. He couldn't understand what Justin was thinking. His behavior made no sense. Even Justin himself didn't know. Yeah, why had he come? The next day, Luna went to the Sun family villa to take Lara's measurements. Predictably, she was once again thoroughly humiliated by Lara. "Luna, karma really came for you." "Huh? So, how does it feel, falling from a pampered heiress adored by everyone to a penniless peasant?" Lara spoke with pride, then picked up a jewelry set from the vanity table. "Look at this. Justin had it custom made for me by a famous craftsman overseas, completely handcrafted. Priceless. He said he can't wait to see me wearing it on our engagement day." "So, has he ever treated you like this?" No matter what Lara said, Luna remained expressionless, deaf to it all. Chapter 7. Luna had just finished taking Lara's measurements and was about to leave when a sudden cry rang out behind her. "Someone help! My diamond necklace is missing. No one is allowed to leave this house. I must find the thief." Luna was stopped by the housemaids and ushered back into the living room. Lara then picked up her phone and called Justin. "Justin, what should I do? That necklace was a gift from you. I'm supposed to wear it at the engagement party, and now I can't find it anywhere." Justin normally wouldn't bother with something so trivial, but when he heard Luna had been there that day, he rushed home immediately and ordered his people to search everyone present. Moments later, one of his men checked Luna's bag and his expression changed. "Mr. Sun, we found it." The missing necklace was pulled from Luna's bag, and silence fell over the entire villa like a suffocating fog. Luna's eyes filled with shock. She had wanted to explain, but when she caught the smug expression on Lara's face, she immediately understood. This was a setup, a trap, meticulously crafted for her. She forced herself to remain calm. "I remember the Sun estate has security cameras. Whether I stole it or someone planted it on me, the footage will make everything clear." As expected, Lara's face changed at that, but she quickly clung to Justin's arm. "It's just a necklace. If Miss Lin really wanted it, I would have gladly given it to her. But stealing it and then turning around to accuse others of framing her? That's crossing a line. There's no one here but my people." Is she implying I set her up? "Justin, who do you believe, me or her?" Justin said nothing for a long time. Finally, he stared at Luna's stubborn eyes and said coldly, "Enough. No more excuses. Someone, take her to the police." At that moment, Luna felt like she'd been plunged into a frozen lake. There were cameras. Lara's words had obvious loopholes, but Justin still chose to believe her. A cold, aching emptiness spread through her chest. Just as she was being escorted out the door, Lara's saccharine voice sounded again. "Wait, Justin, you can't send her to the police. That would ruin her for life. How about making her kneel outside for a day? That's apology enough, don't you think? A good dose of humility, maybe she'll think twice next time." Outside, wind howled and rain poured in sheets. With her current condition, kneeling out there would surely leave lasting damage. But Luna couldn't go to the police. She wasn't afraid of suffering, but she didn't want her child to have a criminal mother. She gave Lara a calm glance, then silently turned and stepped outside. "Luna, if you take back what you said, I'll let you off the hook." Just as she reached the threshold, Justin's voice stopped her. His deep tone carried something strange. Was it hope? Luna froze slightly. What did he mean? Take back what? The words about no longer loving him? About never clinging to him again? Impossible. Justin should be celebrating her departure, not asking for her to go back on it. Every decision I make, I stand by. I never take my words back. With that, she pushed the door open, dropped to her knees, and let the cold rain soak her through. Watching her stubborn figure in the storm, Justin's expression grew darker and darker, his chest burning with unresolved rage. Luna, well played. After kneeling in the rain the entire day, Luna dragged her unsteady body back to her tiny apartment. As soon as she stepped inside, everything went black and she fainted. Her body was burning up, yet she shivered violently. The baby? I can't lose the baby. She tried to force her eyes open but couldn't. After what felt like an eternity, she sensed a warm hand gently pressing a cloth soaked in alcohol to her forehead. She could clearly feel someone softly wiping away the tears at the corners of her eyes. For a brief moment, Luna was tempted by the warmth. She didn't want to open her eyes, afraid that the moment she did, this fleeting kindness would vanish like a dream. Chapter 8. Dreams, after all, must come to an end. When Luna slowly opened her eyes, the faint scent of sandalwood drifted into her nose. The next second, a stunningly handsome face came into view. Did you have a nightmare? The deep, textured voice was so gentle that Luna nearly allowed herself to fall into it. But then she remembered the nightmare from before. Why had Zach shown up so suddenly? Was he here to force her to abort the child? Luna instinctively clutched her abdomen and sat up in a panic. Mr. Fu. Zach gently pressed her back down. Lie down. But Luna couldn't rest. Panic consumed her, and sweat beaded on her forehead. Mr. Fu, I didn't mean to get pregnant with your child. I took the pill that night, I swear. You can check the surveillance or ask the maids. I wasn't scheming, and I didn't play any tricks. I had thoughts I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have kept the baby. I can go get the procedure right now. I promise. Frightened and flustered, Luna almost scrambled out of bed, desperate to plead with him. Zach, don't call me Mr. Fu. Zach held her trembling body still. He couldn't understand where she got such an idea. For a brief second, he wondered, was he really that terrifying? But Luna didn't answer him. I follow Buddhism. Luna, I don't take life. Those simple words instantly calmed her. What he said next, however, made her heart truly settle. This child is mine, my blood. I won't let you get rid of it. I came only to see with my own eyes. Are you doing well? This is the second time I'm asking you, Luna. Will you come with me? Zach gently rolled the prayer beads in his fingers, his expression soft, completely unlike the cold figure from her dream. He looked at her like he could melt her entirely. Luna's situation needed no explanation. He could see it all too clearly. His offer was a powerful temptation. Should she go with him? Ahead of her was a gilded cage, full of ease and luxury. But instead of comfort, Luna felt a rising fear. Zach's identity was too powerful. If he hadn't chosen to approach her first, they might never have crossed paths at all. She couldn't read his thoughts. He was like the ocean, beneath the calm surface. Who knew what kind of storms brewed? Even if Zach promised not to harm her or the child now, what about in the future? The future was long. Would he never change his mind? Promises meant so little. Justin had once made her promises. 2. Mr. Fu, I'm very grateful you saved me, and even more thankful that you trust me now. But I can't go with you. Zach stared at her, eyes dark with unreadable emotion. After a long silence, he gave a quiet He left only one sentence, if anything happens, come to me. Then he and his people disappeared, as if they had never been there. The house quickly returned to silence. The day of Justin and Lara's engagement arrived, and the venue was packed with guests. Justin stood on the stage. His parents had already urged him several times, but he still hadn't begun the ceremony. The one person who was supposed to be there never came. He refused to start the engagement. He thought Luna would show up and try to ruin everything, but as time passed, her figure never appeared. Had she truly given up on him? Panic rose in Justin's chest. His heart beat out of control. He stood beside Lara, looking at her in the very gown whose stitching he recognized all too well, and a sharp pain struck his heart. For a moment, it felt like he was hallucinating. He saw a scene from his own engagement to Luna. He didn't even understand what was happening to him, but he knew one thing clearly: he didn't have the courage to go through with this engagement. "We'll postpone the wedding." In front of the whole crowd, he rushed off the stage, leaving everyone stunned and Lara alone in place. "Justin, don't go!" Wearing her elaborate dress and high heels, Lara tried to chase after him, but she couldn't catch up. Chapter 9. Luna had just finished a bowl of millet porridge when a knock suddenly came at the door. Justin regretted his impulsive decision the moment his knuckles left the wood. Somewhere deep inside, he had come to acknowledge that complicated, indescribable feeling he harbored for Luna, but admitting his past mistakes? That wasn't something he could do so easily. As he stood there hesitating, the door creaked open. "Aren't you getting engaged today?" Luna asked, visibly surprised. Justin stared at her for a long while before suppressing the anger in his chest. The timing wasn't right. "It's cancelled." Luna simply nodded, saying nothing. Her calm reaction unsettled Justin more than he expected. He suddenly grabbed her by the arm. "Luna, I'm getting married, aren't you angry?" He stared at her intently, searching her face for even the faintest reaction. But Luna's expression didn't waver. No affection, no joy, no emotion, just the detached calm of someone chatting about the weather with a stranger. "Why would I be angry? I don't love you anymore." The words "don't love you anymore" echoed in Justin's mind like thunder. Finally, he snapped. "Why? Why don't you love me anymore? You've loved me for over 10 years. How could one trip abroad change you so completely? Didn't you hate seeing me with Lara the most? Then why didn't you get angry when I moved in with her, bought her jewelry, got engaged to her? Luna, what kind of game are you playing? Stop it already." His eyes reddened as he clutched her hand, voice trembling. "Please, bring back the Luna from before. I want the old Luna back." But no matter how many questions he fired, no matter how much he pleaded, Luna simply looked at him quietly. After a long silence, she gently pushed his hand away. "She's not coming back. The old Luna died the day you sent her away." She smiled faintly, then pointed to her slightly rounded belly. "Look at me, Justin, like this. How could we ever go back?" Justin staggered back in disbelief, his voice shaky. "You're pregnant? Whose is it?" Luna chuckled. "Who do you think? I was alone in a foreign country. A homeless girl trampled by anyone and everyone, beggars, vagrants, take your pick." Justin's eyes locked onto her belly, and he looked like he was about to break. "Lara's relatives, weren't they the ones who came to get you?" Luna's laughter turned bitter. "I told you already. Lara's relatives are smugglers, criminals who deal in trafficking, extortion, even murder. Every day I woke up not knowing if I'd live to see the next. I had to take the dirtiest jobs just to stink enough so they wouldn't touch me. To survive, I had to sleep with someone. I didn't know who he was, but sleeping with him meant I wouldn't be sold to a brothel. Wouldn't have to sleep with 1,000 more. I don't regret it. Do you understand?" Each word spilled like blood, tearing open her unhealed wounds and showing them all to Justin. "Stop, stop. I didn't know. I didn't know it was like that." Justin mumbled, head hanging low, until it suddenly snapped up. His eyes wild with desperate excitement. "Abort the child. We'll start over, just like before, okay?" "No." Luna's refusal came without hesitation. She turned to go back inside, but Justin lunged forward and struck the back of her neck with a sharp blow. When Luna next opened her eyes, she was lying on an operating table. Surgical tools surrounded her, and a group of medical staff in white coats filled the room. As she stirred, a doctor stepped forward. "Miss Lin, don't be afraid. Mr. Sun has arranged for the best medical team. You'll feel much better after a little rest." His voice rang calmly in her ears, but her heart plummeted into despair. Justin had lost his mind. He was going to force her to abort the baby. "No!" She struggled with everything she had, but the anesthesia had already taken hold. She could barely move. The cold glint of the scalpel hovered mere millimeters from her belly. Luna, powerless, shut her eyes in hopeless surrender. But at that exact moment, every light in the operating room exploded. A crisp, commanding voice echoed through the silence. "That's my child. Who dares touch it?" Chapter 10. The murmurs among doctors and nurses came to an abrupt halt. The operating room fell into absolute silence. Tears blurred Luna's vision, but the heart that had sunk into despair just seconds earlier began to beat steadily again. Her baby was safe? She tried to move her hand to touch her belly, to confirm that her skin was still intact, that the scalpel hadn't touched her, but her limbs remained restrained. It's over now. Zach approached and gently unfastened the straps that held her down. Then, with a motion both protective and tender, he lifted her into his arms. The strong thump of his heart and the enveloping scent of sandalwood gave Luna a strange sense of security. The anesthesia slowly overcame her, and she let go. This time, without fear, and in her sleep, there were no shadows, only sweetness. A small, beautiful boy with chubby cheeks and sparkling eyes reached out his arms to her, asking for a hug. "Ma, ma," he mumbled, his tiny voice as soft as cotton. Luna hugged him tightly to her chest, as if afraid she might lose him again. No one interrupted that dream, and she didn't wake until she had fully rested. When she opened her eyes, she realized a warm, firm body was holding her from behind. A large, protective hand rested on her belly, as if shielding it from the entire world. Luna's body immediately tensed, except for that one confusing night abroad. She had never shared a bed with a man. That closeness, that intimacy, was entirely foreign to her. "You're awake. Eat something. You must be hungry." Zach's low, husky voice rumbled in her ear. Her heart trembled slightly. As soon as he finished speaking, the emptiness in her stomach became painfully clear. She was starving. "All right," she replied softly. She tried to sit up, but Zach beat her to it, helping her up with extreme care. Then he got out of bed and returned with a steaming bowl of chicken and rice. "Your body is still weak. Let me help you." His tone was gentle yet firm, leaving no room for argument. Luna had no choice but to accept, feeling like a child under the care of an adult. Only after her condition stabilized did Zach allow her to leave. Luna couldn't believe he let her go so easily. She had thought he would do everything in his power to keep her by his side. "Sir, are you really not going to ask Miss Lynn to stay? We could take better care of her here, and the baby too," one of his men asked. Zach silently watched her figure disappearing down the corridor. Several seconds passed before he shook his head in response. "She's free. Just make sure she's protected. She must never be hurt again." "Understood." Zach knew it well. Luna wouldn't stay. She was too proud. And in her heart, she still lacked the sense of security she could only build for herself. Only when she could stand on her own would they perhaps be ready to talk about their true feelings. When Luna arrived at her apartment, Justin was already waiting. Next to his car was a pile of ashes. In an unusual sight, Justin held a lit cigarette between his fingers, though he hadn't taken a single puff. "Who is that man? Do you know how mysterious he is? Do you know who you're getting involved with?" He grabbed her wrist tightly, his eyes bloodshot. His gaze was intense, confused, and almost pained. The strong scent of nicotine made her dizzy. She coughed several times. "Let go of me!" Luna snapped, quickly pulling her hand away and slapping him without hesitation. The sound rang out, sharp and clean. The imprint of her hand was left on his face. "You're waking up now? You want to know who he is? He's the father of my child." "Of course!" That sentence hit him like a bolt of lightning. Justin's eyes widened in disbelief. "What? How is that possible?" Chapter 11. Luna let out a cold laugh. "Are you disappointed? He's powerful, mysterious. Even the Sun family wouldn't dare provoke him easily, right? If it weren't for him, my child would have been gone by now. Does that upset you? Don't worry. With him around, the baby and I will be just fine." She lifted her chin with a taunting smile. The memory of lying helpless on that operating table still haunted her, and she would never forget that Justin tried to take her child's life. What right did he have? Justin remained silent for a long time, utterly speechless. Eventually, he spoke slowly. "That man, Fu, he's dangerous. Not someone you can afford to mess with. He's not a good person. I'm saying this for your own good. You're too naive. You have no idea what kind of world he lives in. If you really insist on keeping the child, then let me help. Be with me. I'll raise it with you." His voice cracked with strain, dry and hoarse. He licked his lips unconsciously, nervous anticipation welling up in his chest. Would she say yes? She had loved him for so many years. Surely, she would. But Luna's answer came swiftly and without hesitation. No, I can raise this child on my own. If one day I truly can't survive, I still wouldn't turn to you. Mr. Fu is the better choice. After all, I'm terrified you'd send me abroad again. With those words, she turned and headed upstairs without a single glance back. Justin stood there, stunned. His car had been parked outside her building for 3 days. For 3 days. He had waited. Neighbors had stopped finding it strange. They simply kept their distance now. Gone was the dashing, untouchable air of the Sun family. His shirt was wrinkled, his hair disheveled, and his bloodshot eyes made him look utterly wrecked. He kept staring at the direction she disappeared in, like a puppy abandoned by its master. Luna's words echoed in his mind. Impossible to shake. Justin had never considered the possibility that one day, he would no longer be Luna's first choice. That she would never rely on him again. That she would never seek him for comfort or safety again. Just hearing about what Luna had endured overseas had been enough to make his blood run cold. And for the first time, Justin realized with cruel clarity, Luna truly didn't want him anymore. The girl who once followed him relentlessly, clinging to him with all her strength, had finally lost her way from his. No, that can't be. Luna wouldn't give up on me. It's Lara. It's all Lara's fault. If she hadn't meddled, none of this would have happened. He clung to the excuse, desperately trying to absolve himself. He got in his car and drove straight to the villa. As soon as Lara heard the engine outside, she rushed out to greet him. Justin, you're finally back. Tears welled in her eyes, trembling on her lashes. Her delicate face wore an expression of pitiful fragility. Normally, Justin would have immediately reached out, asked what was wrong, tried to comfort her. But now, he said nothing. His face was grim, brows tightly furrowed, eyes stormy with rage about to burst. Lara froze, startled by the fury in his silence. She stammered, unsure of how to respond. Justin, what's wrong? Where have you been these past few days? Our engagement, when are we rescheduling it? Her voice trembled with grievance. Chapter 12. On the day of the engagement banquet, Justin had abandoned Lara without a word in front of all their guests. She had completely lost face. Rumors spread like wildfire, everyone whispering that there must be something wrong between them. Only Lara knew how much anguish she had endured. As long as the wedding remained unsettled, she could not feel at ease. Deep down, she feared that Luna, that restless threat, would cause another disruption. Lara, what exactly do your overseas relatives do? Justin's question sliced through the air like a blade. Lara's expression froze instantly. That wasn't a question, it was a statement. He knew. A chill surged through her body, and she forced a shaky smile. What are you talking about? My relatives overseas just run a small Chinese restaurant. Did something happen? Her smile was painfully strained. Oh, a restaurant? Do they serve human meat? Justin's face was stone cold as he threw a thick stack of documents at her. The pressure radiating from him made it hard for Lara to breathe. The photos and texts spilled across the floor. One glance, and Lara's blood ran cold. I didn't know they were like that. I just wanted to help. But her excuse was weak, useless. In the documents were even chat logs between her and those relatives. There was no room left for denial. Lara's face drained of all color. Her schemes had never been particularly clever. She had simply gambled that Justin hated Luna too much to dig deeper. Even if he did, it wouldn't matter. Time would erase everything. But she had never expected him to actually investigate and uncover the truth. What she didn't know was that the investigation hadn't come from Justin alone. Most of the evidence, photos, statements, had been compiled by Luna. Based on what Zach's people had found, the Sun family didn't have that kind of reach. But it didn't matter anymore. The evidence was irrefutable. Lara collapsed onto the couch, powerless. It was over. Everything was over. How could you do that to her? Do you know what she went through overseas? Justin's fury exploded. He grabbed Lara by the neck, slamming her face into the stack of documents. Her eyes fell directly on one of the photos, graphic images of mutilated victims at the hands of those very people. The grotesque mess of black-red horror was unbearable. Lara screamed, an ear-piercing shriek that seemed to shatter the ceiling. Ah! Stop! I was wrong! I was wrong! Terrified, Lara trembled uncontrollably, falling to her knees before Justin, begging, But Justin didn't respond. His heart was already filled with disgust and disappointment. The necklace Luna was accused of stealing, that was your setup too, wasn't it? Lara trembled. Unable to speak, she lowered her head even further. She didn't need to answer, Justin already knew. Of course, Luna, once a proud heiress, would never covet a necklace that wasn't hers. And with that mysterious man behind her, she could likely have treasures far rarer than anything Lara had. Justin felt a bitter wave of self-mockery. Lara, I won't send you to the police. For a moment, hope flashed in Lara's eyes. She knew it. Justin still cared. He still couldn't let her go. But his next words dashed her into the abyss. Chapter 13. I'll make you wish you were dead. Everything Luna endured, you'll experience it. One by one. With that, Justin waved his hand. 2 bodyguards stepped forward and dragged Lara into the courtyard, forcing her to kneel on the stone-paved path. No, Justin, I'm your fiancé. Didn't you say you loved me the most? How could you do this to me? Her cries were drowned by buckets of cold water splashing down on her. The skies were clear and the sun shone brightly. But since there was no storm today, Justin decided to create one. At first, it was one bucket after another. Then, they simply turned on a hose, drenching her with freezing jets of water. Her pleas for mercy were buried under the roaring water. She didn't even dare open her mouth, for every time she did, water gushed in, choking her with ice-cold agony. No amount of sunshine could warm her. She passed out after just half a day. Lara had assumed that once she fainted, Justin would feel pity and stop. But he didn't. She woke up in the exact same spot where she had collapsed. The sun had dried her clothes, only for another deluge of ice water to follow. Justin truly followed through on his words. He made Lara experience everything Luna had suffered. She knelt for a full day, utterly exhausted, her lips pale, her body burning with fever, murmuring deliriously. And still, Justin did not soften. This was only the beginning. What Luna endured was far crueler. How could Lara's suffering even compare? The love that once burned so painfully had long since been extinguished, crushed beneath betrayal and disappointment. At some point, Lara's place in Justin's heart had been completely replaced by Luna. Before she could even fully recover, Lara was secretly shipped overseas that very night. And overseas belonged to the Fu family. The moment she arrived on Uncle Chan's turf, Lara was treated like a newly delivered sheep, beaten, starved, and humiliated with no mercy. Uncle Chan didn't care if she claimed to be a relative. A distant connection meant nothing to him, not compared to real money. Besides, Fu Yi had given explicit instructions. This one was to be handled with care. There was no way Chan would let her off easy. Unlike Luna, Lara had neither the resilience, nor the courage, nor the luck to survive such torment. It didn't take long before she broke. Desperate for escape, she latched onto a man and became his mistress. But even being a mistress wasn't easy. The beggars on the street, the thugs under Chan's command, anyone could kick her when they pleased. That man? He had dozens of mistresses and a penchant for violent abuse. Within days, Lara was reduced to an unrecognizable state, diseased and destroyed. It was the path she chose. She could have, like Luna, fought her way through, but she couldn't endure the hardship. In the end, she gave up and chose to rot. When news of Lara's condition abroad reached Justin, he wasn't the least bit surprised. That woman had always been like this, ruthless and unscrupulous to climb upward, only to collapse the moment things went south. Justin took the evidence and went to find Luna. It had only been a short while, but her belly had already begun to show. Her limbs were still slender, perhaps a lingering effect of her suffering overseas. Chapter 14. Justin glanced around. That mysterious figure was nowhere to be seen. He's not here to take care of you? Luna didn't want to entertain such meaningless conversation. Without a word, she sidestepped him. I've already punished Lara for everything she did to you. She's experiencing exactly what you went through. I'm sorry. Can you forgive me? Guilt filled Justin's voice as he reached out, holding a folder thick with documents, evidence of Lara's suffering. He opened it, showing Luna the gruesome photos one by one. The images were horrifying. They should have brought her satisfaction. They should have felt like justice. Instead, Luna felt her stomach twist with a wave of unbearable nausea. Ugh. She gagged and swatted the file away. She shouldn't still be experiencing morning sickness, it was already past the first trimester. Maybe it wasn't the pregnancy, but the psychological recoil from the flashbacks those photos triggered. It took her a long moment to recover. When she finally looked at Justin again, her expression was distant, her gaze steady. For a second, she realized something chilling. She might have never truly known this man. You think it was all Lara's fault, that you had nothing to do with it, right? No. Justin fumbled for words, but nothing coherent came out. Maybe deep down, he knew he was at fault too, but he just couldn't say it. Justin. Luna's voice trembled, not with fear, but with exhaustion, with bitterness, with pain. I do hate Lara, but I hate you more. Those words hit like a blade. Justin's face turned deathly pale. His lips moved, but no sound came. If it weren't for you, I never would have been exiled overseas. All I did was love you. What exactly was my crime? Her voice was low, drained, broken. If you hated me, you could have just rejected me, told me to stop, told me to stay away, told me I wasn't welcome. But you didn't. You just stayed silent and let me chase you. You never gave me hope. But you never crushed it either, because you knew, one look, one kind word, and I'd come running back. So tell me, why should I forgive you? The last question came out like a final blow. All of her strength and heartbreak poured into a single sentence. Justin had no response. He had nothing to say. Because she was right. He was the one who couldn't face his feelings. He was the one who crushed her heart over and over again. He was the one who had failed her. His throat burned with bitterness, like a mouth full of bile. After a long silence, he finally muttered, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I just want to take care of you. You must be so tired, going through everything alone. If the child's father doesn't want you or the baby, then I will. I'll raise it like my own. Luna stared at him, stunned. Was she really hearing this? Had Justin finally reached a point so low, so humble, that he would even beg to raise another man's child? Did he truly realize that the one he loved all along was her? She couldn't believe it. How could someone who never loved her in over 20 years suddenly fall in love in just a few months? It was laughable, like a cruel fairy tale. She opened her mouth to respond, but a familiar voice cut in before she could speak. A warm hand settled gently on her shoulder, pulling her into a firm, protective embrace. That won't be necessary. Fu's woman. Fu will care for. There's no need for Sun to act kind. Chapter 15. The tall, broad figure completely enveloped Luna in his embrace. The finely tailored trench coat perfectly outlined Zach's powerful frame. His eyes were deep and sharp like a hawk's, exuding a strong aura that made people instinctively shrink back. His Mandarin carried a subtle, foreign lilt, elegant in its own way. Yet the words he spoke ignited Justin's jealousy like wildfire. Mr. Fu walks a blade's edge daily. How can someone like him care for a fragile woman like Luna? You two are constantly apart. There's no way he can truly take care of her. And besides, does someone like Mr. Fu really need Luna's child? Justin's voice was dripping with venom, trying to paint Zach with the darkest brush he could. His gaze was locked on Luna's swollen belly, full of bitter regret. Why did she have to get pregnant? Jealousy and heartache twisted inside him. Still, he forced his tone into something softer. Luna, come with me. I'll take care of you, and I'll treat the child as my own. I swear on my life, I'll love you for the rest of my days. As the words left his mouth, Zach's hand, still resting on Luna's shoulder, tightened slightly. Luna felt the shift in him. That subtle change in emotion made her heart flutter with a flicker of happiness. It was as if, in that moment, he had drawn just a little closer to her. No, Luna's voice was calm, steady, and resolute. Once, the naive young lady she used to be would have burst with joy at hearing those words. She might have said yes before Justin even finished. But now, she had long since given up on him. She didn't need his charity-disguised affection. In fact, she found it insulting. Zach, hearing her answer, allowed the corners of his lips to curve ever so slightly. His whole posture eased. He had already made up his mind. If Luna agreed to leave with Justin today, Justin would never leave this place alive. He subtly shifted the gun at his waist back into concealment. Mr. Fu, no, Zach. Let's go. Luna remembered how Zach once told her to call him by name. She quickly corrected herself. Then she turned to him and smiled. A soft, genuine smile. Zach nodded, his dark eyes shimmering with warmth. All right. He took her hand, leading her up the stairs. It was hard to imagine that someone like Zach, a man of immense power, would quietly follow her into such an old, run-down building. Justin stood frozen, watching them disappear from view, despair crashing down on him like a tidal wave. A deep, suffocating powerlessness settled in his chest. Luna truly wasn't his anymore. Something he had taken for granted for so many years had finally come true, and Justin's heart shattered under the weight of it. He couldn't live without Luna, but she no longer had him in her heart or her eyes. How cruel was that? He could see clearly now, Luna didn't trust him. Not anymore. But what could he do? Cut his heart open just to prove it? Justin stood at the bottom of the stairs, dazed and lifeless. All through the night, from below, he watched the soft glow in Luna's small apartment slowly dim. Eventually, every light in the building went out. Were they sleeping together now? Would Luna kiss him? Justin didn't even dare imagine what was happening inside her home. Jealousy consumed him. Yes, they had a child together. They had done everything already. What was a kiss? A bed? All of it was normal, and yet it tore him apart. Chapter 16. Just the thought of it made Justin's chest ache to the point of suffocation. Day turned to night, night into day, and as the first pale light crept across the horizon, Justin was still standing there, motionless. He had stood an entire night. Finally, the exhaustion overtook him. His body collapsed to the ground. In the final seconds before he lost consciousness, a single thought remained. If Luna saw him like this, would she feel sorry for him? But Luna never saw him in that state. It was Assistant Lee who eventually came and rushed Justin to the hospital. Lee stood by the hospital bed, sighing again and again. Why do this to yourself? If you knew it had come to this, why were you so cruel to Miss Lin back then? But his words were spoken only to himself. He knew Justin couldn't answer. While unconscious, Justin had a dream. In the dream, he never met Lara. He married Luna the way they were supposed to. They had a beautiful child. They lived a quiet, happy life together. When he woke up, a faint smile still lingered on his face. But dreams end, and that world had never existed. It was just a dream, a fleeting illusion. Luna. Luna. Justin stared at his ring finger, dazed. In his dream, a ring matching Luna's had sat there, shimmering with significance. The dream felt so real, he could even remember the exact design of their wedding rings. After being discharged, Justin rushed to have those rings custom-made. He told himself, in a parallel world, Luna had truly married him. She must have loved him deeply. How else could he remember the rings so clearly? If they could be together in one universe, they could be together in this one too. Maybe here, there were just more obstacles, more pain, but he refused to give up. As long as Luna and Zach hadn't officially gotten married, as long as there was still time, there was still hope. When the rings were finally ready, Justin ran his fingers over them again and again. They felt strangely familiar, too familiar, but he couldn't recall why. He assumed it was just the intensity of the dream. Meanwhile, Luna had found a new job, an assistant at a small fashion design studio. Without Justin sabotaging her behind the scenes, the job search went far more smoothly. Her new colleagues were kind, and even though she was visibly pregnant, no one treated her any differently. One day after work, just as Luna stepped out of the office building, a little girl handed her a bouquet of pale pink and white tulips. Immediately, Luna's stomach churned with unease. Pink and white tulips. Only Justin ever gave her those. She had once mentioned to him, offhandedly, that she liked them. After that, every gift he gave her was the same, always a bouquet of pink and white tulips. At first, Luna had thought it was sweet, a sign he cared. Later, she realized it was just convenience, a way to avoid putting thought into anything else. Now, seeing that familiar bouquet, an overwhelming disgust rose in her chest. She hadn't liked this flower for a long time, but as she stepped forward, the view before her made her freeze. A sea of pink and white tulips. Countless pale balloons floated into the air, each dangling a handcrafted tulip from its ribbon. It should have been romantic. It should have been touching. But all Luna felt was revulsion. Not even a trace of emotion stirred in her heart. Just pure loathing. Chapter 17. Marry me. Luna, I will love you for the rest of my life, forever. Without ever abandoning you. Justin knelt on one knee, the velvet ring box in his hand snapping open to reveal a pair of glistening rings, the very same wedding rings from his dream. A crowd began to gather, onlookers excitedly cheering, coaxing her to say yes. Luna could only laugh. Justin, haven't I made myself clear enough? We broke off our engagement a long time ago. I don't love you anymore. We have nothing to do with each other. Her calm, unflinching tone silenced him, but what she said next shattered every last bit of fantasy in his heart. Besides, Justin, have you forgotten? These are our engagement rings, the ones we used to end our engagement. No, it can't be. Justin felt like he'd been struck by lightning. Reality cracked open before him. His mind replayed the shape of their engagement rings, the details, and slowly, painfully, realization dawned. He had forgotten. He'd forgotten what the rings looked like, the ones he'd carelessly cast aside. And now, the subconscious guilt had pulled them from his memory, only they had reappeared in a dream. He'd recreated them, not from love, not from remembrance, but from guilt. It was painfully ironic. The rings he once ignored, once threw away, he now held up as tokens of love and commitment, and he hadn't even realized it. He stood there, speechless, unsure how to explain the cruelty of it all. Around them, the crowd murmured, some taking out their phones. Soon, a video of the entire scene was online. At first, viewers envied Luna, thinking she had finally won the heart of the cold-blooded CEO of SS Group. But as the video spread, people began to recognize the man, son Justin, the same man who had publicly broken off his engagement to Luna months ago, the same man who then got engaged to Lara, the same man who abandoned Lara on the day of their engagement ceremony. Now here he was, once again chasing Luna, confessing and proposing. Was he treating the public like fools? Comments exploded online. This guy is unbelievable, switching women like changing ties. He dumped Luna, ran to Lara, dumped Lara, and now he's crawling back. Yuck. Why would Luna ever go back to him? I hope she says no. Just then, Zach appeared, surrounded by bodyguards. They began removing everything, the tulips, the balloons, the decorations, in swift, clean efficiency. The popping of balloons echoed in Justin's ears like bombs. Each burst sounded like another piece of his heart being ripped apart. Forgive my rudeness, Mr. Sun. Zach's voice rang clear and composed. Are you proposing to Fu's wife? Is this a formal declaration of war? Justin said nothing. He only looked at Luna with trembling hope, hoping she might, just once more, stand beside him. But this time, Luna was nothing like before. She took Zach's arm, smiled with gentle composure, and looked Justin squarely in the eyes. Mr. Sun, how presumptuous of you. Without hesitation, Luna reaffirmed Zach's identity and her choice. Justin's body shook, eyes rimmed red, and tears slipped silently down his cheeks. No, this can't be happening. He had changed. He had come back. He was sincere this time. So why did she still choose Zach? Luna stepped into Zach's car without looking back. As the door closed behind her, the box in Justin's hand slipped and fell. The two replicated rings tumbled out, and the ring meant for her rolled straight into a storm drain, vanishing from sight. Justin clutched the remaining one, fingers trembling, unable to breathe through the pain in his chest. Later, in a private bar suite, Justin drank like a madman, bottle after bottle, ignoring everyone trying to stop him. Justin, stop. Luna's not worth it. She's just another heartless woman. One of his so-called friends made the mistake of speaking. The next second, a glass bottle flew straight into his head. Red wine streamed down, mixing with the blood, until it was impossible to tell one from the other. Chapter 18. Enough. Can't you see Sun is falling apart? A few of Justin's friends quickly covered the mouth of the guy who had just spoken, dragging him out and sending him to the hospital. Justin was in no mood to tolerate dissent, and that guy could only swallow his bad luck. No matter what his friends said, how they pleaded, Justin remained silent, his gaze lifeless. But the empty bottles on the table kept multiplying. This couldn't go on. Finally, Oscar picked up his phone and called Luna. The moment the call connected, Justin's hand froze midair with a bottle. "Who is this?" The voice that came through on speaker wasn't Luna's. It was a man's voice. Oscar double-checked the screen again and again. It was definitely Luna's number. I'm looking for," he barely began to say Luna. When? Crash! Justin, eyes bloodshot, snatched the phone and smashed it to the ground. The pieces scattered everywhere. The line went dead. Justin stood there, fists clenched, lips pale. "It's Zach." He squeezed the name out of his throat like poison. The moment Zach's name was uttered, the entire room fell silent, dead silent. Everyone understood what that meant. Zach wasn't just a romantic rival. He was a name whispered in fear across K-City, a man who, in just a month, had flipped the city's power structure on its head. He was untouchable. Justin began drinking faster, more violently, as if trying to drown himself in alcohol, trying to drink himself into oblivion. But the more he drank, the more sober he felt. His mind looped endlessly with the image of Luna walking away with Zach, her hand resting gently in his. It became his nightmare. Eventually, Justin curled into a fetal position on the couch, clutching his stomach in pain. Panic erupted. His friends rushed him to the hospital. The result, acute alcohol poisoning. Even while half-conscious, he kept mumbling Luna's name, tears silently soaking the corners of his eyes. When he finally came to, the very first thing he asked was, "Where's Luna? Did she come?" The group exchanged uncomfortable glances. They had called her, of course, multiple times. At first, Zach answered. Later, Luna answered once herself, only to hang up after hearing their plea. Then she blocked all of them. At the time, they had begged her. "Justin drank himself sick because of you. He's in the hospital. Please, just see him once, we're begging you." Luna's response was calm, almost cold. "The doctors and nurses at the hospital are very capable. I have nothing to do with him anymore. Please don't contact me again." She hung up without a trace of hesitation. Now, faced with Justin's hopeful eyes, all they could do was silently shake their heads. He already knew the answer, but seeing it confirmed in their expressions, it broke something in him. Justin's world collapsed completely. Meanwhile, Luna was preparing to leave for the Fu estate with Zach. She hadn't expected him to appear again. Not after vowing to let her go, but he came again and again, quietly, but always when she needed him most. Now, he stood before her with words that shook her more than any grand gesture. "I'm about to carry out an extremely dangerous operation. If it goes well, I'll release you, and you can return to your life. If it doesn't, the child in your belly will be my only legacy. If possible, I hope you'll go to the Fu estate. It's safe there. You won't be affected." His tone was steady, but something in his eyes told her this was no ordinary mission. Something told her Zach might not come back. Chapter 19. Zach's gaze was calm and unreadable, as always, but the way he began spinning his prayer beads faster betrayed a flicker of tension. Even someone like Zach wasn't fully confident this time. His world was dangerous, and countless times he had regretted dragging Luna into it. She was the light, resilient, like a sunflower that always grew toward the sun. He was the abyss, long past redemption. The Fu estate wasn't a warm place, but it was the safest place he could offer. Zach's heart held an unease he couldn't shake. Then Luna looked at him, her voice soft and steady. "All right, I'll go to the Fu estate." Her eyes shimmered with something tender, something barely noticeable, but real. "Just come back safe." She turned her head quickly, cheeks warming with embarrassment, trying to hide the shy ripple in her heart. For a moment, silence hung in the car. Then Zach's low chuckle broke through. "I'll come back safely, Mrs. Fu." The words made Luna's ears turn pink. Agreeing to go with Zach wasn't difficult. Everything he had done for her recently, his gentleness, his protection, she had seen it all, even if not now. Luna knew that sooner or later, she'd fall for him completely. It amazed her. When she left Justin, she had sworn she'd never love again, but here she was feeling again. Only this time, she wouldn't give everything all at once. She wouldn't throw all her hope and love onto just one man again. The Fu estate was hidden in the heart of the city, yet few dared approach. The Fu family was one of the oldest in K-City, but had remained intentionally low profile for years, so low profile that many had forgotten their name. But that was just how they liked it. Tall trees catch more wind, and Fu had long grown tall enough. Fu's mother, a regal woman with half-Russian ancestry, had striking emerald green eyes like polished jade, mysterious and cold. Her facial features leaned more Eastern, but her presence was icy and commanding, as if she kept the entire world at arm's length. "You're back? When's the marriage registration?" She didn't pause her pruning of flower stems, though her gaze flicked briefly to Luna's belly. "Tomorrow," Zach replied simply and led Luna to their room. There was little outward affection between mother and son, but a strange, innate harmony hung between them. After they left, Fu mother murmured, "Seems it's time to let K-City wake up a bit." The next day, just after Zach and Luna received their marriage certificate, Fu mother sent invitations to every notable family in K-City. It was the official announcement: Zach and Luna were married. Yes, the wedding had been sudden, and the formal ceremony could wait, but the message could not. Everyone in K-City's elite circle had to understand one thing: Luna was now the Fu family's daughter-in-law, Zach's wife. Even Justin, still bedridden in the hospital, received the invitation. The golden lettering gleamed in his hands, burning into his eyes, driving him mad. Luna and Zach were married. No, this wasn't possible. In a fury, Justin nearly tore the invitation to pieces. It took him several deep breaths just to stop himself. Ignoring the blood trickling from the foresight on his hand, he stared at Zach's name, burning with hatred. If he could, he would carve those 3 letters out of the page. Long after, Justin's breath calmed, and a cold smile appeared on his face. He had made up his mind. This wedding banquet, no one would enjoy it. Luna belonged to him. Justin. Chapter 20. After years of silence in K-City, the Fu family finally revealed themselves, and not subtly, either. Most of the elite families didn't take them seriously. They assumed Fu was just some newly risen noble, barely breaking into high society. The invitation was treated as unimportant. Only a handful of families, those close to the Sun family, actually showed up, and it was obvious they came to support Justin, not the bride. On the day of the banquet, Zach had already left K-City to handle a confidential operation, but even without him, Fu mother spared no expense to ensure Luna's position was unshakable. The banquet was held inside the Fu family's private castle, a place never open to outsiders. Even the Sun family had only glimpsed it from afar. Now, as guests stepped inside, awe crept into their expressions. Seeing the extravagance, many silently thanked their luck for accepting the invitation. Clearly, this wasn't a nouveau riche household. The hostess's identity alone promised unimaginable advantages to any who could earn her favor. Only Justin stood among the guests with a storm in his eyes. No amount of wealth or splendor could change the fact that Zach wasn't even here. Was Luna really happy with a husband who abandoned her right after marriage? He wore a black suit, sharp and sleek, but in his chest pocket was a single pink and white tulip, like a groom clinging to a lost dream. Suddenly, the room turned quiet. Fu mother emerged, gracefully linking arms with Luna. Her smile was composed, dignified, an unmistakable sign that Luna now stood at the center of power. From today onward, Luna will be the mistress of the Fu household, the wife of the Fu family's heir. With those words, Fu mother slipped off her own heirloom, an emerald bracelet, and fastened it around Luna's wrist. It was a formal declaration of recognition. At first, some attendees still held doubt in their hearts, questioning if the Fu family was as powerful as they claimed. But the luxury spoke louder than any words. Wines placed casually on the side tables were worth hundreds of thousands, even millions. Oil paintings and porcelain pieces adorning the halls were museum-grade treasures. Even the hand-woven wool rugs beneath their feet were priceless. For a long moment, no one dared speak, but Justin didn't care about any of that. His eyes held only Luna. He broke through the crowd and walked straight up to her. "Is this how he treats you?" he asked coldly. "Married just days, and he already abandons you. Does he really care about you and the baby? You've seen how powerful the Fu family is, but you can't handle that kind of life. Trust me, Luna. Come with me." The room gasped. Justin was trying to steal the bride, publicly, right in Fu territory. All eyes darted between him and Luna, the air thick with tension. Luna's voice was calm but cold. Mr. Sun, what nonsense are you spouting? I'm Zach's lawfully wedded wife. Or are you declaring war on the Fu family? She couldn't hide her disgust. Why couldn't he just let go? He had thrown her away once. She had stayed far from him, just as he'd wanted. Why was he still chasing her? Justin sneered. So what if it's war? The Fu family may rule overseas, but this is K-City. This isn't their turf yet. Luna, don't be foolish. Zach is ruthless. What good can possibly come from staying with him? He reached for her, eyes pleading. Come with me. I'll treat you and the child well. I swear it. Chapter 21. Impossible. Stop your delusions, Luna said calmly, eyes steady. If you've decided to stand against the Fu family, then there's nothing more to say between us. She cast a subtle glance at a nearby maid. The maid nodded slightly. Luna's heart settled a little. Justin let out a bitter smile, but his hand remained outstretched. Luna, I'll make you come with me. You'll see, I'm the one who's truly right for you. Suddenly, a group of black-clad men surrounded the castle, guns drawn. Guests inside the grand ballroom screamed in panic, many trying to flee, regretting ever attending this wedding banquet. A middle-aged man with sharp, angular features and a deep scar across his left brow stepped forward slowly. The scar added an even more ruthless air to his presence. Miss Lin, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Zach's second uncle, Paul. His tone was mocking, twirling a gun lazily in his fingers, clearly not taking Luna or Fu mother seriously. How's that for a diversion, while Zach's away? I take everything, his mother, his wife, even his unborn child. When he finds out, I imagine he'll be kneeling at my feet begging for mercy. He laughed as he sauntered toward Fu mother, his gaze filled with disdain. Paul, you gave me your word. Luna is mine. Do what you want with the rest. Justin said coldly. He had helped Paul buy time, sabotage behind the scenes, and now, it was time for him to claim his prize. He stepped forward, reaching to seize Luna's hand, but Luna quietly stepped back, evading him with ease. Luna, why are you hesitating? Justin's voice rose in frustration. Do you really want to go down with the Fu family? He couldn't understand her. In just a few months, how could she love Zach so much? What did Zach have that he didn't? He had made mistakes. Yes, but he was trying to make up for them. Why wouldn't Luna give him a chance? But just then, the air in the room shifted. A tall, enigmatic figure appeared in the doorway, his presence stealing everyone's breath. Zach. He walked calmly into the hall, arm wrapping protectively around Luna's shoulder, his voice dangerously soft. Oh, I must have missed the family memo. Since when was the Fu household in crisis? Good to see you again, second uncle. His face was sharp, cold, expression unreadable, except when his eyes landed on Luna. Softening just slightly, across the room, Paul's expression twisted in horror. No. No. You should be dead. I saw your car explode. This isn't possible. He stumbled back in disbelief. The man standing before him should have died that morning. Even Justin's expression turned uneasy. Zach smiled faintly, eyes filled with ice. Luring the tiger away from the mountain? Seems like that strategy didn't work out so well. In an instant, Paul and Justin's faces drained of color. They had lost. Zach snapped his fingers. Immediately, the black-clad men surrounding the castle turned their guns on Paul and Justin. The ones who had come to seize power had already been turned. Now, those same weapons were pointed at their own heads. Paul barely dared to breathe. Justin, on the other hand, still forced his pride to the surface. You want to take my wife? He hissed. You'd better be ready to fight for her. A cold gun barrel smacked against his cheek. Everyone tensed. One wrong move, one shaky finger, and blood would be spilled. No, Zach wouldn't kill Justin in K-City. But that didn't mean he couldn't crush him in other ways. Moments later, members of the Fu family bound Justin in ropes, posed him for photos, and sent the images directly to Sun Father. The message was clear. This is what happens when you try to steal from the Fu family. Chapter 22. Sun Father had long stepped away from managing the Sun family's affairs, but never imagined he'd one day have to clean up his son's mess. When he arrived at the Fu estate, the years seemed to catch up with him all at once. His back was more stooped, his hair grayer, He came bearing a portion of the family's fortune, offered as compensation to redeem Justin. Mr. Fu, please, you're a man of great stature. Let Justin go this once. I promise, he'll never appear before you or your wife again. Justin watched his father bow before Zach, rage simmering beneath his skin. This incident had thoroughly shamed the entire Sun family in K-City. But at the same time, it cemented the Fu family's power. After years of silence, they had returned, more dazzling and unstoppable than ever. From that day forward, everyone in K-City's elite circles remembered two things. The Fu family was untouchable. Their esteemed lady of the house was Luna, the same Luna who had once fallen with the bankrupt Lin family. Now, when people spoke of Luna, no one mentioned Justin anymore. Their names, once inevitably linked, were separated forever. Seeing this, Zach was finally satisfied. Though Luna remained unaware of the small ways Zach had shaped the narrative, he was quietly watching, ensuring she would never again be associated with Justin. Paul, the bothersome second uncle that had scurried around K-City like a roach, was swiftly handled. With him gone, things quieted again. Luna assumed this was the danger Zach had once warned her about. So now that it's over, can I leave the Fu estate for a while? The luxury and order of Fu's household still made her uneasy. Months of surviving in a foreign land had trained her to always stay alert, to never grow too comfortable. The calluses on her hands weren't signs of hardship anymore. They were her anchor, a reminder to remain grounded. But Zach's gaze darkened slightly at her question. Not yet. Paul was nothing, just an appetizer. His tone was serious, the corners of his lips tight. During this time, you can work remotely, or let my people accompany you when needed. Once the dust truly settles, I'll give you your freedom. Seeing his grave expression, Luna didn't argue further. A quiet anxiety settled over her. And sure enough, the next day, Zach was gone. He left no details about where or what for. So Luna focused on what she could control, caring for herself and the baby. She began making tiny clothes, sewing each piece with patience and care. Her belly grew rounder by the day. She stopped going into the studio and worked from home instead. Fu's estate fed her well, and slowly, she regained some of her old glow. Her cheeks had filled out. Her skin brightened. Bit by bit, she began to look like the former Miss Lin of K-City again. Luna rarely thought about Justin anymore. She believed he had finally drifted far from her life. Until she started receiving packages. The first day, she received a jar of folded stars, the same one she had made for Justin when they were young. Inside each star was one of her childish wishes, every single one about him. She stared at them for a long time. Then, without hesitation, she burned them. Wishes that had lost their meaning, didn't deserve to exist. The second day, a new jar arrived, this one folded by Justin himself. The paper was fresh, the handwriting recent. Luna didn't even bother opening it. She burned that too. The third day, the fourth, and every day after. More items came. Each one was a memory, a relic of the love she'd once poured into him, now being desperately mirrored back. It was clear, the emotions Justin had ignored for so long, he was now trying to repay, piece by piece. But it was too late. Chapter 23. A month had passed, and Justin was still sending things to Luna. That day, she received another item, a photo. For a moment, Luna stared blankly at it, a flicker of trance flashing through her expression. Was her love really so obvious back then? In the photo, the younger Luna smiled brightly, her eyes filled with admiration, completely focused on the cool, aloof boy in front of her. Clearly, even if Justin had never reciprocated, he had always known. He had always known, and yet chosen to ignore it. Luna didn't feel touched. Only grief. Grief for her old self, the girl who once gave everything to someone who never wanted her. Enough, she said quietly, turning to Oliver, Zach's trusted aide. Now stationed to protect her, she added. From now on, don't let Justin's things through. She tore the photo in half and tossed the pieces into the fire. Flames curled around the edges. That smiling girl with hope in her eyes was reduced to ash. In truth, it had been Luna herself who allowed the packages through up to now. She had wanted to see how far Justin would go. At first, she'd still had the energy to evaluate his sincerity, to weigh his remorse. But now, she couldn't even be bothered to open the boxes, the memories, the gestures. the repentance, they all meant nothing. Oliver accepted her order. From that day on, Justin's packages never made it past the gate. At his end, Justin stared at the growing mountain of undelivered boxes, each one a piece of a past he was desperately trying to rebuild. Had she seen them? She must have. But why? Why had she never responded? Justin sat there, hollow and despondent. He had thought, naively, that if Luna just remembered the old days, their history, their bond, she would soften. After all, they had known each other for over 20 years. Zach couldn't compete with that. Lara had paid her price. He had repented. Wasn't that enough? But for Luna, it wasn't. Not even close. Justin had suffered for a few months. Luna had suffered for years. Then, one day, Justin's phone lit up. It was a message from Luna. "I've thought it over. If you really want forgiveness, go overseas. Experience everything I went through. Only then will I forgive you." The moment he read it, Justin froze. Overseas? He couldn't even imagine it. After sending Lara to her so-called relatives, he had barely heard from her again. Just a few days in, she had sent desperate pleas for help. Then, silence. Even Justin had eventually tracked her situation down, just enough to know it wasn't survivable. He couldn't picture himself enduring that. Hands trembling, he dialed Luna's number. The line connected, but when he heard her voice, he faltered. Several seconds passed before he could croak. "Luna, anything else? I can do anything, but not that. Please." On the other end, Luna let out a low, cold chuckle. "Didn't you say you'd do anything for my forgiveness? All I'm asking is that you live what I lived. You sent Lara there, what? And now you can't go? Do you really love me, Justin?" Each word cut deeper than the last. Justin's lips moved, but no answer came out. His face lost all color. I didn't mean, it's not that I don't want to, just. That kind of place, no one makes it out whole. Not even me. Luna laughed. The kind of laugh that wasn't laughter at all, just pain and irony. Chapter 24. Look. You said it yourself, what happens abroad isn't something just anyone can endure. So tell me, why do you think that after everything I went through, I could still love you like nothing ever happened? Luna's words left Justin utterly humiliated. She let out a mocking laugh and hung up the call. Justin stared at his phone, lost in thought, with a bitter weight sinking in his chest. It wasn't that he didn't dare face it all, it was that he still bore the responsibility of the Sun family. If he left, what would become of the Suns? And if he couldn't return, what future would they have? After being rejected by Luna again and again, the only way Justin could numb himself was through work. Under the relentless pressure from the Fu family, the Sun family's situation worsened by the day. Even though he had the will to salvage what was left, the decline had already become irreversible. The Sun family had once ruled almost all of K-City, only the Lin family had been able to stand against them. But now, with the Fu family's sudden return, all attention had shifted to them. In a last-ditch attempt to hold their position, Justin's father came up with a plan, a political marriage. "Justin, look," his father said as he dropped a stack of documents on the table. "Photos attached, these are daughters of our allied families. Choose who would be best to form an alliance with." Justin's bloodshot eyes ached, and a sharp pulse throbbed constantly at his temples. He hadn't slept properly in a long time, and now, with this new pressure, it felt like his head was going to explode. "Enough, Dad. The Sun family doesn't need a marriage alliance. Stay out of my business." He didn't even glance at the documents. His eyes remained fixed on the file in his hands. At his response, Justin's father snapped. "Justin, the Sun family isn't what it used to be. Luna is already married to someone else. What are you waiting for? You still can't forget her? If I had known she'd be such a curse, I never would have let her stay. I should have let her jump off that building with her parents." Blinded by rage, Justin's father didn't even realize what he had just said. The moment he caught the razor-sharp look in his son's eyes, he fell silent. It took a few seconds before he realized he had said something he shouldn't have. Instinctively, he looked away and licked his lips uncomfortably. "I never should have let her live in this house, would have spared us all this trouble." His excuse rang hollow. Justin had already sensed that something didn't add up. "Dad, what really happened to the Lin family? Did you have something to do with it? His heart sank deeper with every second. Everything felt more and more suspicious. If his suspicions were right, then he didn't even dare to imagine what would happen if Luna found out. Would she hate him? Of course she would. She had loved her parents deeply. Justin's father lowered his head slightly, hesitated for a moment, and then responded with an air of forced firmness. How could you think that? Our family always got along with the Lins. Why would I betray them? I don't know what really happened either. If you have doubts, ask Luna. He diverted the conversation instinctively. That's enough. I came here today so you could choose who you're going to marry, not to talk about nonsense. And if you don't pick, your mother will decide for you. With that, he stormed off, leaving Justin alone. Justin remained motionless, staring into the void. What his father had just shown him, wasn't it already painfully obvious? Chapter 25. Justin already had a suspicion deep in his heart, but he didn't know why he still felt so deeply uneasy. Assistant Lee, investigate everything related to the bankruptcy of the Lin family, especially what my father did at that time. Yes, sir. The moment he gave the order, Justin felt even more disturbed. He regretted having asked for the investigation. What had happened back then was already a settled fact. Wouldn't it be better to pretend he knew nothing? If something really came to light, could he still be with Luna like before? During that time, Justin had done everything possible to ignore any news about Luna. He tried hard to forget her, but he discovered that the more he wanted to forget her, the more he remembered her. During meals, he thought of her smile. While working, he remembered the desserts she used to prepare for him. At bedtime, he would hear her voice again, telling him stories as an excuse to delay sleep. It was then that Justin realized that by entrusting all those memories to Luna, the one most affected had been himself. He started noticing details he had once taken for granted or simply ignored and came to understand the love Luna had for him. And now, he was trapped in those memories, while she had already managed to let them go. How painful all of this was. Even more so if it turned out that the bankruptcy of the Lin family was related to the sons. Justin didn't even dare to imagine how much Luna would hate him. Deep inside, Justin prayed that the investigation would have nothing to do with his family. But the more he wished for it, the more inevitable reality became. He opened the investigation results and turned the pages one by one. He couldn't stop his hands from trembling. The bankruptcy of the Lin family had no direct relation to the sons. It was the result of poor management, leaked corporate secrets, and embezzlement by senior executives. All these factors eventually led to the collapse. But the suicide of Luna's parents was related to the sons. Luna's parents had always been strong-willed people. After the company's collapse, they were depressed for some time. Justin's father and mother offered to help and accompany them, seemingly out of goodwill. But no one imagined that Justin's father harbored dark intentions. He wanted to seize the Lin family's last remaining assets. People under his command tampered with Luna's parents' medication, causing their emotions to spiral more and more out of control, until they couldn't take it anymore and chose to jump together from a high place. In their final moments, Luna's parents decided to entrust her to the care of the Sun family. But the sons didn't take good care of her. On the contrary, Justin himself ended up causing her even more suffering. Upon seeing all that the investigation had uncovered, Justin's first reaction was to destroy it. Luna couldn't find out. Assistant Lee, destroy all the evidence. Absolutely no one else can find out about this. Yes, sir. It wasn't until he received confirmation that the evidence had been erased that Justin managed to calm down a bit. But deep inside, he still felt a vast emptiness and insecurity. In theory, he should tell Luna the truth, but just thinking about the hatred she might come to feel for him made him completely incapable of facing it. It's fine, he told himself. The evidence is destroyed. Aside from me and Assistant Lee, no one else will ever know the truth of what happened. Luna will never know. Justin clung to that lie he kept telling himself. Zach hadn't shown up in City K for a long time. Some said he had fled, others that he had died abroad. Without Zach, the Fu family was no longer a threat. Upon learning this, Justin chose Luna's medical checkup day to intercept her at the hospital entrance. Luna, he still hasn't come back? Chapter 26. Justin's gaze fell to Luna's rounded belly, his expression heavy with emotion. What kind of husband is he? Luna? He asked quietly. You're newlyweds, And yet he left you and the baby behind. He hasn't even come to a single prenatal appointment. Is this the kind of marriage you think is worth it? Luna didn't respond. She simply sidestepped, intent on walking away. She wasn't upset. She had known all along Zach had important operations to carry out. He might not return for a long time. And in the meantime, she was well taken care of. Fu family members were always by her side. Fu mother treated her like a daughter. Zach's absence didn't scare her. It didn't hurt her either. But Justin still trailed after her, refusing to let go. Let me go in with you for your appointment, he offered softly. He didn't fulfill his duty as your husband, but I won't let you face this alone. That won't be necessary. Luna's voice turned cold. She couldn't understand why Justin still insisted on inserting himself into her life. Had her words been not cruel enough? She halted and looked straight at him. Mr. Sun, we have nothing to do with each other anymore. If you continue following me, my security will make sure you understand the consequences. Without waiting for a reply, Luna walked into the OB office. Today was a major checkup. Her due date was approaching. And after this, she'd be staying in the hospital for monitoring. But when she stepped out and headed toward her assigned room, she saw Justin again, standing at the end of the hallway, shadowed by the dim light. She couldn't see his expression clearly, but she didn't care. Zach hasn't come back for this long, Justin said suddenly, his voice steady and low. Don't you know something's happened to him? He walked forward, slow and deliberate. I heard he was seriously wounded overseas. There's a good chance he might not make it. You're really planning to wait for him forever? What if he dies? Smack. A clear, sharp slap rang out in the corridor. Luna's palm had swung clean across Justin's cheek. Enough. You said it yourself. It's just hearsay. I'm part of the Fu family. Don't you think I'd know better than you what's going on with him? Justin didn't flinch. Instead, he let out a low chuckle, brushing the side of his face. I'll wait, he murmured. Wait for the day you finally come back to me. The Fu family is a den of wolves. That child might be their only heir. Can Zach really protect you? Keep you safe? You know it as well as I do, here in K-City. The only one who can protect you is me. With that, he turned and walked away, but not before casting one last lingering look in Luna's direction. The moment he left, Luna's mask of calm cracked. She turned to Oliver, heart pounding. Oliver, is it true? What he said about Zach, did something happen to him? Oliver's expression didn't budge. His tone remained perfectly composed. Please rest assured, madam, sir will be fine, for now. Your priority is to take care of yourself and the child. But Luna wasn't truly reassured. No matter how many times they told her Zach is fine, she could feel it. Something was wrong. The atmosphere around her had changed. The guards around her were tighter. Everyone walked with urgency. Faces were graver than usual. When she asked, they all gave the same answer. Just extra caution for the baby's safety. But Luna knew better. She didn't ask further. She didn't resist. She was pregnant, vulnerable. If she ran out recklessly, and something did happen, she'd never forgive herself. So she stayed, and let the tests and checkups continue. Day after day, waiting, praying. Chapter 27. As Luna's due date crept closer, her unease only deepened. Something about the silence, the waiting, made her heart race in foreboding. It's fine, she told herself again and again. Everything will be fine. But on the eve of her due date, the first sharp pang hit. Her stomach cramped violently, painful, rhythmic. She knew instantly, it was time. A flurry of people surrounded her, helping her onto the gurney and into the delivery room. Doctors and nurses moved swiftly, reassuring her in calm voices. But the contractions came hard and fast. Each wave of pain broke over her like a crashing tide, and sweat beaded on her brow. Then, in the chaos, something strange. A nurse, one Luna didn't recognize, approached with a syringe. She wasn't on the assigned staff roster. Her presence was odd, and the moment Luna caught sight of the glinting needle, something inside her screamed danger. She wanted to speak, warn someone, but she had no strength left. Her voice was a hoarse whisper. Nurse, don't. The others, too focused on delivering the baby, didn't notice anything amiss. The needle inched toward her arm. Then, A sharp crack split the air. Glass shattered. The syringe exploded in the rogue nurse's hand. Blood spilled down her wrist. Chaos erupted for a moment. But the doctors quickly refocused. The priority now was the delivery. The baby was coming. In the shadows of the room, someone had intervened. Someone had protected her. Zach. When Luna felt the presence in the corner, her anxious heart finally settled. Moments later, the baby's first cry pierced the air. A healthy boy. Luna smiled through the tears, exhausted, relieved, before slipping into unconsciousness. In that corner, Zach was gasping for breath, leaning heavily against the wall. He was badly injured. His body was barely holding together, but he had made it back. He saw his child born. That alone made the pain worth it. Zach dragged himself from the room and returned to his own bed, taking painkillers and silently enduring. The overseas operation had nearly cost him his life, but he was still standing. And for the first time, he wanted to recover. Not just survive. Heal. So he could be by Luna's side. So he could be a father. Justin had no idea the entire hospital was under Zach's watch. He'd suspected someone would make a move on Luna eventually. Zach's enemies would want the child gone if they couldn't kill Zach himself. He tried to plant men in the hospital, but his efforts were blocked. And when he arrived to stand guard outside the delivery room, he never expected the threat would come from the inside. Zach's reaction had been swift, efficient. Justin was too late. When Luna woke up again, she turned to see Zach sleeping in the small bed beside hers. The sight overwhelmed her. Tears sprang to her eyes. She blinked rapidly, trying to keep them from falling. Zach stirred. His sleep was light. The moment he saw her, his sharp gaze melted into a soft warmth. "How do you feel?" he asked, voice low and rough. "Still in pain?" Luna shook her head weakly. "Where's the baby?" she asked, panicking when she realized the crib next to her was empty. Her chest tightened. Had something happened? Tears welled in her eyes again as she struggled to sit up. Zach instantly pushed through the searing pain in his own body and reached for her. He wrapped her in his arms, gently pressing her back onto the bed. "It's okay," he whispered against her hair. "The baby's fine. Your mother took him with the nurse for some tests. He'll be back soon." Luna exhaled, her tension ebbing slowly in his embrace. They were safe. The baby was safe. And Zach had come back. Chapter 28. Luna clung tightly to Zach, deeply inhaling the calming sandalwood scent on his body. Her sense of smell was sharp. She caught the scent of iron on him and quickly pulled away from his embrace. "Are you hurt?" Luna asked in a muffled voice. Her eyes were filled with concern, and she instinctively tried to check Zach's body for injuries. Zach stopped her restless hands in time. "Behave yourself. I'm fine." As he spoke, he slid the Buddhist prayer beads from his wrist and placed them in Luna's palm. "It's just a minor injury. It'll heal soon. Don't move around too much. You're still weak. All right?" His tone was gentle, yet carried a trace of dominance. Luna blushed slightly as she lay back in bed, clutching the beads tightly, as if feeling the pulse of his wrist through them. Perhaps it was because of the child, or perhaps because of everything they had been through together. Luna, almost subconsciously, no longer brought up what Zach had said about setting her free. Even though they had both left the hospital with the baby, it was as if they were both avoiding the topic. Living in the Fu household and being with Zach, it was something dangerously easy to get lost in. Just when Luna could no longer hold back and wanted to talk with Zach about the future, Zach placed the results of the investigation into the Sun family in front of her. "Take a look." In fact, Zach had received this information a long time ago, almost at the same time as Justin. But back then, Zach had deliberately ordered it kept from her, fearing that Luna wouldn't be able to handle it physically. Now that she had given birth and a few months had passed since her postpartum recovery, and her body was almost fully healed, Zach finally dared to bring it up. Luna stared at the documents, nearly fainting from disbelief. The Sun father and Sun mother, whom she had always regarded like her own parents, turned out to be the murderers who had orchestrated the downfall of her real parents. The Lin family's bankruptcy had long been anticipated. Lin father and Lin mother hadn't even seemed that upset. Luna still remembered how, when the family first went bankrupt, her parents had talked about starting over once the company's liquidation was complete, afraid that she and her mother would be too sad to let go. Lin father even promised to take them on a trip But somewhere along the line, Lin father and Lin mother began to change, their moods sank deeper, and they became more agitated, often blaming each other. When they were lucid, though, they comforted Luna and told her everything was fine, until the day before they jumped to their deaths. Lin father and Lin mother entrusted what remained of the Lin family assets to the Sun family, asking them to safeguard it. They had thought that since Luna liked Justin so much, and since the two children would eventually get married, the Sun family would naturally take care of Luna. What they didn't expect was that Sun father was a wolf in sheep's clothing. He swallowed the remaining Lin family assets whole and even took in many of the Lin Corporation's core employees. None of this was ever told to Luna by the Sun family. All she knew was that, overnight, she lost her parents and everything she had, and had no choice but to live under the roof of the Sun family. Seeing all this, Luna let out a self-mocking laugh. She had treated her enemy as family and even loved the enemy's son with all her heart. The mere thought of it made her heart ache with regret. After a long silence, she finally calmed down and said lightly, "Zach, help me, I want revenge." "All right." Zach curled his lips into a satisfied smirk. He wasn't afraid of Luna turning dark, he only worried she wouldn't go dark enough, wouldn't be ruthless enough. Chapter 29. Luna's revenge, compared to Zach's methods, was so mild it almost seemed insignificant. Zach ordered that Sun father and mother be administered the same kind of drug they had used years ago. It didn't take long before they began to show signs of mental confusion, with episodes of emotional outbursts followed by memory lapses. They forgot everything they had said or done during those episodes. Justin understood immediately. They knew. His face turned completely pale. Zach had returned victorious. At that point, the Fu family dominated almost all of City K, and their influence abroad was even greater. Zach had no mercy. If he truly wanted to destroy Justin's parents, there would be no escape for Sun father and mother. In desperation, Justin went to beg Luna, "I'm sorry. On behalf of my parents, I ask for your forgiveness. Please, I beg you, just leave them alone this once." For the first time, the proud Justin lowered his head. Slowly, he fell to his knees. "Whatever you want, whatever the Sun family can offer, I'll give it." In that moment, Justin appeared so humble that there was nothing left of the arrogant CEO he once was. Luna almost let out a bitter, ironic laugh full of indignation. "You want me to forgive your parents? Then tell me, did they show mercy to mine? Wasn't it enough what they did to them? Did your family really have to push us into complete ruin? I'm sorry, but no, they must pay for what they did." With those words, Luna felt as if all strength had drained from her body. Justin was left speechless, his lips trembling and his face ashen. He lowered his head, burdened by a regret that was now useless. Before leaving, he placed on the table all the assets the Sun family had obtained from the Lins, as well as a significant portion of shares from SS Group. Luna looked at the documents. There was no joy in her heart, only deep pain. And yet, she was lenient. She asked Zach to stop administering the drugs to the sons. She only used the evidence to have Sun father arrested through legal means. Zach offered no objection. That was Luna's decision. But inside, he knew that between Luna and Justin, there was nothing left. And that left him fully satisfied. With that abyss of blood and hatred between them, Justin could never come close to Luna again. "Luna, do you still want me to set you free?" Zach knew it wasn't the best time to bring it up, but he couldn't wait any longer. Luna remained silent for a moment, then smiled with quiet resignation. "The Fu family is fine. I like it here." In the Fu household, Luna was still free. She could do whatever she wanted, without feeling imprisoned by her child, without feeling like a parasite. She wasn't a burden or a decoration. She was an essential part of that home. Luna had heard stories about Zach's past, how he used to disregard life and death, as if nothing mattered. But now, he had attachments. He had weaknesses. Zach held her tightly against his chest. "Having you is the greatest honor of my life." With all his sins weighing on him, Zach had never imagined he could live a second half of life filled with such happiness. Justin attended Zach and Luna's wedding, impeccably dressed, hidden in a corner, ignored by everyone. City K was now completely under Fu control. Justin made his decision. He would leave, taking his mother with him. Long after, in City H, a new influential figure emerged among the elite. Many powerful families tried to get close to him, even proposed marriage alliances. But this so-called Mr. Sun seemed to have a single, untouchable figure in his heart. He showed no interest in any woman. It was said that, when he drank too much, he always murmured the same name through his tears. Luna. Luna.